I am one of those people that like cleaning to clear my mind. Usually, I find that it helps me relax and it helps me process thoughts that are a bit hard to process when I'm trying to focus. Yeah, but it gets frustrating sometimes when you have to bend down to sweep, pack the dirt, when you have to use those brooms that you kind of have to stand and use them, and then they have hair stuck, in the mouth, or they have dirt stuck in the mouth. It doesn't make it smooth. So obviously, the option that you think of that will make it smooth is a vacuum cleaner. But the question is there a vacuum cleaner that is very budget friendly, that will get the job done, and that would make you still be able to think as you're doing it? I think there is one. I think it's this one. Now, this is your Rimo vacuum cleaner, or like they like to call it, the what? The Cold Force Flex. Let's talk about this cleaner. So this is a 500-watt vacuum cleaner, and it's a cord vacuum cleaner. So apparently it's not cordless like the other ones that they have. And I got this one on Jumia, not the Oraimo store, for a price point that I will tell you about later in this video. But I thought I would explain to you guys how this works. And I've used it for the past week, and I've tested it, and I have a few things that I think that I would like to share with you guys. What are the things you get in the box when you buy this vacuum cleaner? A few things you find in the box, obviously, is the vacuum cleaner itself. That's the first thing that greets you in an iron bag. Yeah? And then you would find things like the different nozzle it comes with. So it comes with two different nozzles. It comes with one that allows you to clean things like your upholstery, and it comes with another nozzle that is for tight corners, the ones that you kind of use to go into those crevices, that the big nozzle kind of get into. And of course, you have the big nozzle, and then you have the arm extender, as well as your manual and your filter. So it comes in extra filter, which makes it two filters in total. One comes inside the vacuum cleaner, and another one comes, just extra like that. How do you use this? So it's pretty much easy. Yes, this comes in different compartments. It comes in different nozzles, like I earlier said, and you can just attach them together. By first of all, you can have the main body itself, and then you can have a nozzle attached to, the entrance. And then if you want to use it handheld, that's all you need to do pretty much. You can just switch it on from there, plug it, switch it on from there, and you can use it. But if you want it extended whereby you can stand and you can use it, all you have to do is then take the other rod that it comes with, attach it into the handhead. There's a handle at the bottom that you want to kind of flick down. Once you flick that down, you want to attach the rod inside. Make sure it's aligned properly with the sign. There's a sign that tells you how to align it. Once that is aligned, then you flip it up and that locks it in place. Now, you do not have to turn it on the smaller side. There's another extension of on button at the long hand, and the Rimo has done it to me whereby you can just turn it on from there. A tiny rod comes out in between, the rod, a tiny iron in between the rod, and it kind of turns it on for you. It's a good mechanism that they've used anyway. And then you can just turn it on from there, and it starts to work. I like one thing they've done is they provided storage for the other nozzles that it came with. So the one for the embroidering, or for the upholstery rather, and the other one for the crevices. So you're not looking for them. Another thing I like again about this is the fact that once you're done using the vacuum cleaner, you can then step your leg on the head of the vacuum cleaner, and then you can make it into a stand, so you can stand on its own. You just kind of put your leg on top and you adjust the vacuum in a particular kind of way, and it stands on its own. And that way you can just leave it there and go do something else. When you're coming back and you're done doing what you're doing, you can just step on it again, bring it down, and you can continue to clean. Now, mind you, this only works with the primary nozzle. It doesn't work with the one for the crevice or for the one with the upholstery. It only works with the primary nozzles, the one that has, the tires on top. But I think it's a good thing that they've done with this vacuum cleaner to make it easier for you to just, keep it one space and go do something else without having to lie it down. So this vacuum cleaner is made out of plastic. And the reason why they have done it this way is because it needs to be light, and I understand that pretty much. But the downside to that is that it could break easily if you're not careful. So you want to be careful how you're using the vacuum cleaner. You want to be careful how you're rolling it, so you do not go into crevices that would make it break. However, it seems durable. The hand itself is not cheap plastic, and the rod itself is metal. The wire that came with a vacuum cleaner is a 5-meter wire, so you would not have problems, reaching far places. Now, for those who don't know what 5 meters is, to give you context, a regular flyover bridge in somewhere like Lagos, places like Ojuelegba and other places I've seen, you will usually see 5 meters at the top of the flyover that tells you this is how high it goes. So picture how a flyover would be and how tall it is. That's the same way, or the length of this cord, and that tells you that this cord is like literally really long. So you can have it plugged. In my case, I could plug it in just one socket in my room, and it will go all around the room. And my room is a long room, it's a long room, and it goes all around without having to remove from that socket and plug it somewhere else. And I find that with the noise, it's not so loud that is that disturbing. I find that it's usable pretty much. You can use it and you wouldn't feel like you cannot think while you're vacuuming your environment, and pretty much is what it sounds like. Just, you be the judge of that. Okay, so we're going to check out these to see how loud it gets, because this gets loud, but not so loud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on just so you guys can see how loud it does get. And this is what you get when you turn it on. So what's good is a vacuum cleaner if the suction power is not strong. And so this is what it works like, and this is how much power it has and how much dirt it can take. So I have rice on this hand, and I have this white foam thing on this other hand, and then I have sand on this other hand that has a bit of dead leaf. See what that looks like. So the sand here, a bit of dead leaf, and I'm going to put it on the floor and see how much this can suck and how many swipes I need to go to get this out completely. Let's start with the rice, yes? Now, this is just one swipe, and if you can see, let me take this back out, there is no more rice left. Just on one swipe, and there is no more rice left. So that did a good job. Let's see how much of this it can take off as well. So it had no problem taking out the sand, but these leaves are still here. And I think a reason why this is happening is because if you look underneath the vacuum cleaner, it uses just this small hole to be able to dust out everything. It's not the entire space that is the suck that sucks the entire dirt. It's just one particular small hole that sucks. So that's why I guess this was not able to get in. But let's try this last one and see. Okay, so that did a good job, but one thing I've noticed is this. I've noticed that it has a problem, what's it called now, vacuuming stuff that are a bit heavy, things that are like big, not so small, like things that are not fine grained. It might not take them in at once, but if you keep going over them, chances are it will suck them in. But if they're like fine grains, like the rice, I had no issue with the rice because they are all small grains. I don't know if that makes sense. So I was able to take them off completely without having to, worry about that. But if they're fine grain stuff, like these plants, chances are you would not be able to take them out on a single go. But I think if I keep going on there, that it will just suck that out immediately, and you would have a good or a cleaner space if that's the proper term to use. But yeah, pretty much as how it sucks, and that is sucks sounds like a wrong word to use, and that is how loud it gets as well when you're using it. So I find that when you're using the vacuum cleaner in a place that is a smooth surface, say for instance, you're using it on a tile surface, you do not need so much pressure to kind of push through, because the bottom of the vacuum cleaner has these two small tires here that allows you to glide, and also has these big tires as well, yeah? But once you move that vacuum cleaner from a smooth surface, I'm talking like a tile surface, over to a rug surface, I noticed that you kind of need a bit more pressure to be able to, or a bit more force to be able to go front and back, because of how strong the suction is. The vacuum cleaner tends to get stuck with the rug, so you kind of have to push it a bit more, as opposed to when you're vacuuming a tile, or a concrete flooring. Those ones can easily just glide through without you having to push them as far as the rug. Hi guys, so Future King here. What editing I realized that I didn't speak about how you can empty your dirt. after you're done vacuuming. So pretty much process is easy. There is a green button at the top of the main compartment. All you have to do is push that down, and you can then flip it open, take off the filter, and you can dust it off properly. You can also wash the filter if you want to wash the filter, but you have to kind of leave it to dry for 24 hours before you then put it back into the vacuum cleaner. And once you put it back into the vacuum cleaner, you just kind of repeat the same thing. You join the compartment together, and there is a click you would hear from the bottom side or from behind. Make sure everything is well set in, and pretty much that is how you can clean your vacuum after you're done vacuuming. So at the end of it all, is this a good buy? I think it's a good buy, especially for the price point. Now, I'd said that I will tell you what the price is. Now, I got this on Jumia. But Jumia, I bought it for 46,000 naira minus shipping. Plus shipping and everything was around 47,000, I think 200 thereabout. But on the Oraimo store, it's currently being sold for 59,900, which is roughly 60,000 without shipping, and that gets me to wonder, why is it more expensive on the Oraimo store but it's cheaper on the Jumia platform? I don't understand the matter, Oraimo. I think it's a good buy. And then if you want to compare this with the other Oraimo vacuum cleaner, the one that is cordless, that's a big comparison. Let's talk about that. So before I bought this particular one, I was contemplating, should I get this one or should I get the cordless one? And I decided to go with this one that is not cordless. And my reason is this. Now, the one that is not cordless is rechargeable. And according to Oraimo, that will take you about 15 to 35 minutes or 30 minutes before the battery runs down. My problem with that is, first of all, battery would not give you as much power as direct light would give you. For efficiency, you will get more strength with your light plugged directly. And I say it's because I have a rechargeable vacuum cleaner. You're not this big one, I have a small one. And you start to notice that with time, the suction power starts to drop because you're losing power. But when you are plugged directly into the power source, it doesn't drop. If you're running for 1 hour straight, you have the same power for 1 hour straight, as opposed to battery where if you run 15 minutes, you start feeling the power dropping. And in my head, it didn't make sense. Secondly, you cannot plug the cordless one and use it because it's strictly battery. So there's no plug and use pretty much from what I saw, from what I know. So you kind of have to always use it on the battery. Now, the convenience of having it being cordless is fine because it means you can take it anywhere. You can take it to your car, you can go to any room and just kind of use it. But if you have a big space that requires you to clean for like an hour or two, it means that you would have to charge, the vacuum cleaner with intervals. So you might do like 30 minutes first and go and charge, wait for it to get full, and I use it again, except of course you want to get a spare battery, which is then another additional cost. Plus the price difference does not make sense. So the one that is cordless is around what, like I said, 46k, but the one I have rather is 46k, yeah. But the cordless one is around 150k. So we're looking at roughly 110k extra. My question is, the price difference does not really tally as opposed to the performance. So it's not like you will get more performance, with the one that is cordless. And mind you, the cordless one only has 450 watts, so which means it's less power. Yes, if you're using prepaid meter, it consumes less power, which is good for you, but that also means that you would not have so much suction power because it's using less power, but it's more expensive. So what you're pretty much paying for is convenience and a new design, because with that one, you do not have to dismantle and remantle. You just kind of have to twist and adjust and clip, and everything is in one place. It's just one single stick cleaner, as opposed to you having to have multiple parts, that you can put it together to use, you understand. But that still for me does not really, it's not enough reason for me to want to purchase, that one over the one that is cord. Oraimo did have the same design for the cordless, but it's also cord. I think that's around 100k or 120k or thereabout, I'm not entirely sure, but it's the same design, but it's not cordless. I also didn't see the points for that. I could just buy this one and just use it that way. It works for me. I have power in my place. I do not a rechargeable vacuum cleaner, but by all means, if you need one, you have a small space, you mind about wires, I advise you can buy the cordless one. It's going to be easier for you anyway. But for me, I think this is a good buy. If you are out there looking for a vacuum cleaner that is cheap and is affordable rather, and you don't want to break the bank, I think you should get this one. It will serve you well. I've used it for, like I said again, for a week, and it's solid. It does the work really fine, in my opinion. So let me know what you think about this video. This is pretty much all I have to say about the vacuum cleaner. I think you should get one if you need one. Please, if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. I noticed that a lot of you that watch my videos and sometimes even comment on the videos are not subscribed. Just click the subscribe button. It's free. You're not going to pay for it. Just click subscribe, and it kind of motivates me and helps me to keep doing these videos for you guys. But other than that, see you guys in the next one. Bye and peace.